called Facing Your Darkness today. And just in the next few weeks, we're talking about facing some things in your life you need to deal with in your life. We're talking about some stuff that you need to face, and we all have to face. And we have to face the darkness in our lives sometimes. And I'm going to go through this next few weeks, and we're talking about God today facing darkness, and we're talking about Joseph was in his pit facing darkness. We're talking about Paul when he was blind facing his darkness. We're talking about all these things. We're going to go through all these scenarios in the next few weeks about facing darkness. And sometimes you have to deal with your life where your life's at right now. Sometimes you have to deal with your life where what's going on right this second and face those things that you're afraid to face. I've never seen a little kid that's afraid of the day. They've always been afraid of the night, afraid of the dark. Now, my baby girl still sleeps with the light on. I don't know why. She's 10 years old, time to turn the light off. But she's still, you'll turn the light off, and in the morning you wake up, it's on. I don't know. And so, but she still has issues. No one's ever been afraid of the light. They're always afraid of the dark. And so sometimes in our lives we have to deal with issues that are dark somehow, and we don't have to actually want to deal with those because they're scary. Things look scary in the dark. I'm reminded of Jesse Duplantis' story talking about when he thought there was a devil in his house and the room he was staying in, and the air conditioner would come on and blow a raincoat. And he thought it was a devil in his house. He rebuked the devil all night, and the light came up, and then in the morning light it came in through the window, and he noticed it was a raincoat that the air conditioner would blow and scare him, because he said, I don't know why they turned the light on, and find out what was going on. But it always reminds me of that story. But we're so afraid sometimes to face the things we have to face because they're the scariest things we have to face. One of the things you have to face is you have to face really what's going on in your life. Have you ever taken inventory of why it is things happen in your life? Have you ever decided it can't be everybody else's fault all the time? Sometimes you have to take inventory of what's going on. Amen. If nobody wants to be around you, is it you or is it them? If every relationship ends up in the same way, is it them or is it you? Amen. If everybody hates you, you think, is it them or is it you? Is it something going on in your life that you're not doing something, you're repelling people instead of inviting people into your life? I don't know what it is you're facing, and we're going to delve into some things in the next few weeks about facing your darkness. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 1, start with verse 1. And I read out of the New King James, so if it's a little different, I apologize. If you think that I'm the Antichrist and don't use the King James, I apologize. Can I just share with you that the King James was not the original scroll? Okay? Just throwing that out there. Okay? We had a big argument in adult Sunday school class about that about 15 years ago. Someone got all offended because someone was reading out something that wasn't King James. Like, really? Okay. All right, so anyway, ready? Are you ready? Yeah. Are y'all fired up and ready? Can't get hard to play? Liars. Okay, good. In the beginning, come on. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Then God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. So God called the light day, and the darkness He called night. So the evening and the morning were the first day. We'll stop right there for just a second, and then we're going to go on in just a minute to a little further down. It's the dark that things look scary. If you don't bring things into the light of God, you'll always be afraid of them. If you don't bring things in your life to the light of God, you'll always be afraid, and you're always going to fall for it again. When you're honest and transparent with God, when you're absolutely honest and transparent with God, and you say, God, here I am. You already know me, but I'm going to admit finally who I am. Amen. I'm going to admit finally what's going on in my life. Well, I'm going to admit, I'm going to stand here, I'm going to look at this scary thing, and God, I'm going to bring it to you, and I want you to have to deal with it with me. See, because you're a laborer and a co-laborer with Christ, and Christ doesn't want to do it without you. And you can't do it without Him. Amen. And until you realize there is darkness, you'll never realize you can get away from darkness. If you don't ever realize that there's darkness in your life, and there's some things in your life that you need to deal with, if you don't ever come to that conclusion and say, you know what, I really need to deal with this. Amen. Because if I don't deal with this, it's going to kill me and destroy me. If you really don't ever deal with it, what happens is this, is that you begin to pet it, take care of it, and feed it. Amen. And try to appease it instead of trying to eradicate it. It's the dark that you can't see clearly. In the dark, you can't see really where you're going. My daughter Olivia, when she was very little, I don't know if you've ever been to Northwood, at nighttime, when you're leaving the gym, going to the parking lot where all the basketball goals are at. I guess that's the east parking lot. Is that the east parking lot? Anyway, where you can't, no, I'm sorry, it's the west parking lot. You can't see very well. And she was in 5th grade or 4th or 5th grade, one of the two, and we're leaving, and I told her, don't run, you can't see. Well, she minded then like she minds now. And she tripped over one of the parking blocks and hit her face on the car because she couldn't see. She was okay. I'd have to sue the school if it's okay. No, I'm just kidding. But she was okay. It was her own fault. But I told her not to run, and she ran anyway. She tripped on the parking block and hit her face on the car, and she was okay, but she couldn't see clearly. Because while she would have not tripped over in the daytime, she easily tripped over in the nighttime. And so things in your life, when you don't get them out of your way and you're facing darkness and you don't deal with that darkness and you don't let light come to it, those things that are so easily seen in the light sometimes will trip you up in the dark. Amen. Amen. Especially if you don't use wisdom like a dad telling you, don't run. How do I know that? Because of experience of being a dad and knowing she's going to trip on something and hurt herself. But now I guarantee you she wouldn't do it again. Not because I told her not to, because that would be crazy. But because she hit her face on a car. That's a pretty good lesson, right? Amen. It's in the dark that causes us to trip and fall. When you can't see where you're going, you're bound to make the wrong decision. You're bound to trip over a parking block and make the wrong decision by not listening to your dad, El Shaddad, instead of doing what God asked you to do and being where God asked you to be and telling you to do these things and please don't do this because you're going to fall. Oh, God, what do you know? You don't know it. God, yeah, I get you, God, but I know this. I know this parking lot like the back of my hand. Whoop, bam. Next thing you know, you're bleeding. But God spoke into the darkness. I love this story. I love the story of creation. I know that's weird. I just love the story of creation. I love how God did it. I love what He did and how He did it. But God spoke into the darkness. The earth had no form. The earth was void of anything, and it was dark. Excuse me for coughing. I apologize. At some point, dead or alive, I'll quit coughing. Okay, here we go. Ready? The earth had no form. It was void of anything. And it was dark. The earth had no concept of being what it is today. The earth seemed to just simply be, this mass. But there was nothing to it. There was nothing there. The Bible says that it was void, had no form, and it was void of anything, and it was dark. And number one, had no form, they had no shape. It was out of control. Our lives are so much like that when there's no light in our lives, we're out of control. We don't really know who we're supposed to be. We don't really know what we're supposed to be doing. We don't know where we're supposed to be going. We're just kind of out there. There's no shape to our life. We don't really look like anything. We're not really anything. We're just kind of there. We're just kind of drifting around, trying to find the best place to be, trying to fit in somewhere. And can I share with you that just because you're a planet doesn't mean you fit in with everything. Just because you're a person doesn't mean you fit in. But when God moved on, He gave it shape. The earth was void. It was not occupied. And the earth was dark. I looked up in my 1960-something dictionary. It says, dark. Neither giving or receiving light. That preached to me. I was going to call this something else, but I thought, no, I'm going to call it this. Neither giving or receiving light. If you're not getting life, you're not receiving life, you're not giving life. Amen?
Amen.
And God spoke into the darkness. Darkness has never been able to stand in the presence of God. Can I just share a few things with you? And I promise you I won't keep you forever today. But can I just share a couple of things with you? Number one, if you have some things in your life that you need dealt with, don't keep them hidden. Not from me. Lord, don't tell me all your stuff. Tell it to God. Go to God and say, God, here I am. I need to be transparent with you. God, I need something. I need you to help. I need you to help me. I need the light of God because, number one, God, my life is without form right now. My life is without form. I don't have anything really going on. I don't know where I'm supposed to be. I don't even know who I'm supposed to be like. See, because we're supposed to be made in the image of God. But we don't have any form. Whose image are we made in? We're not really anything right now. We're not really doing what God's called us to do. We're not really being where God's called us to be. We're just kind of hanging out. We're just trying to be hanging out. We're not really in the image of God because we're not really following God. See, the image of God is not just your outward appearance, it's also your inward appearance. Yeah, the earth looked like a planet, I'm sure. But the inside of the earth, there was nothing. And maybe you're sitting here today and you're thinking, I look like a human. I look like God on the outside. See, I look, this is how I put it, and maybe you guys just think I'm weird, but that's okay. You look like your parents on the outside, but on the inside, you're supposed to be made in the image of God. Your DNA and all those things make you look like your parents. But on the inside, you're supposed to be formed in the image of God. So just like the earth looked like a planet, but on the inside there was nothing. So maybe in your life today, you're saying, Brother Jeff, I understand exactly what you're saying because I feel so empty right now, and I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing and where I'm supposed to be going, what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. I don't have any idea. I'm so glad that you're here today because we're going to tell you a little bit about what you're supposed to be doing. Listen, darkness has never been able to stand in the presence of God. If you take yourself to God and say, God, I have some darkness in me. I need to face this today. To do that, darkness has to leave. In John 18:12, Jesus said, He is the light of the world. 18:12, John said that Jesus said, He is the light of the world. In the band of the Captain Officers, 8:12, not 18:12, sorry. John 8:12. Since Jesus spake again to them, saying, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but have the light of life. Yes. Guys, are you hanging with me? Are you tracking with me? Because you're looking at it. Okay. Hear me. If I am following Christ, I should have the light of the world inside of me. I'm not supposed to walk in darkness. I'm not supposed to have darkness walk with me. I'm supposed to have the light of the world inside of me. I'm supposed to be moved by God, and God's supposed to move us inside of me. Listen, those who follow me shall not walk in darkness. We're not supposed to walk in darkness. We're not supposed to walk and be like everybody else. We're supposed to be Christians. The light of the world is supposed to be living inside of us. We're supposed to be God's-like. We're supposed to be made in the image of God. We're supposed to have the image of God living inside of us. We're supposed to be something different. Can somebody help me a minute? Yeah. Okay, listen, I am so old school in some areas of my life. I am. I have a hard time to see, and this morning we did congregationals. You know why? Because I want us to act like we remember our tradition or remember who we are.
Amen.
We have something that's special, and listen, I know we don't do that all the time anymore, but we have a place that we came from.
That's right.
Oh, somebody?
Amen. That's right.
We had a place of origin. And you realize in that songbook, that somebody got mad in the old church because I'm not singing that Victory in Jesus like that. There are no new songs like that. Where's Bringing in the Sheaves? Somebody got mad because somebody singing Victory in Jesus. Now, but we had an old tradition, man. We have a tradition. The tradition is not always bad. If you're stuck in tradition, it's bad.
Amen.
I love it when coaches come to a program that has a rich tradition and they invite the old guys back and they celebrate the tradition. That's a better word. Heritage. I like that word better. They have a heritage. They came from somewhere. They've not forgotten where they came from. So listen to me. We have the light of the world. We're not supposed to walk in darkness. I'm so old school in some of the areas of my life. Some of the new Christianity stuff just blows my mind. And I'm like, I don't know if we can really do that. I don't know if that's really, I don't know. And maybe I'm wrong, and I'm trying to find out in my life, and I'm trying to dig some stuff out in my life, and there's some of this stuff, man, I'm like, it just kind of hits me wrong. Maybe I'm the only one. And I'm just like, I don't know. And some of the stuff is just like, nobody knows what I'm talking about. Y'all looking at me like, you're an idiot. Well, yeah, maybe I am. But some of my old past is still stuck in me, man. Some of my old stuff is there, and I can't get it out. Maybe I need to go to God. God, maybe I have some darkness. I don't know. And so, but here's the deal. He's the light of the world. We're not supposed to walk in darkness. Listen, to have the light in your circumstance, you have to face your darkness. I want to share something with you now, and I'll just listen. I'm running out of time very quickly, so you have to listen really quickly. In order for God to do something in your life, you have to bring it to God.
Yes, amen.
Okay, what do you mean by that? Here's what I mean. I can't expect God just to show up, boom, boom, and take care of everything without me going to Him. He made a way that I could go to Him. That way was Jesus. I can go to Jesus and say, Jesus, I need help. And Jesus takes, because He's already making intercession for me to the Father. And He goes and says, hey, Jeff needs help in this area. And so all of a sudden now I can go to God, I can be in the throne room of God, and I can stand in the throne room of God, and I can say, God, I need some help in these areas because this part of my life is not right, and I need you to help me. And God begins to deal with my life. But here's the trick. Are you going to change what needs to be changed?
Right.
You still can't stay. It's like, I want help with this stuff in my life, God. I have this big lust problem. I can't stop lusting over whatever. And then you pray, and then you go out and you get on your phone or you get on the internet and start looking at girls. Well, God didn't take it. No, goofy. You just like it more than you want to be free. Help me, somebody. So if we take it to God, leave it with God. Oh, so that's all there is to it? No. Because it's going to come back and go, hey, excuse me. Remember me? I'm your darkness. Hey, excuse me. Remember me? I'm the one that almost caused you to lose out with God. Excuse me. And if you pick it back up, you know what happens? You're back in the dark. It's too easy to fall into that darkness pattern. It's too easy to fall back into that because it's easy, because it's familiar. Well, help me, somebody. It's familiar. Because that's the way you've lived most of your life. We've lived most of our lives with that darkness. We've kept it. We've held on to it. We've loved it. See, for folks to say they don't love some of their sin, that's a lie. Some people love it. What do you mean? I don't love sin. Come on now. What's the draw of sin? The fun of it, right? The Bible says sin has its pleasure for how long? A season. You understand what I'm saying? Are y'all with me? Okay.
Yes.
To have the light of God in your circumstance, you have to face your circumstance. You have to face your darkness. Darkness can't hold up. Darkness can't hold you when Jesus is present. What do you mean by that? Here's what I mean by that. When I go to God and I go to Jesus, I say, listen, man, I got to have help. I don't know how you talk to Jesus. You may talk to Jesus in King James. I don't know, but I don't. Okay? I don't say, for thou art the greatest. No. Dude, I got to have help. Father, I got to have help. Jesus, if you don't help me right now, I'm going to kill everybody. No. Jesus, if you don't help me right now, there's nobody that can help me. I know that you ever have those situations in your life that Jesus, give me wisdom, give me knowledge, give me understanding of what to do. I know that maybe you guys don't ever have that problem in your life, but sometimes in my life I have to go to Jesus and say, Jesus, I don't understand. I don't understand, God, why we're still stuck here. God, I don't understand why what we're trying to accomplish. God, I don't understand a lot of things. God, I don't understand some things. And so I have to go to Jesus and I have to ask for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, because with all you're getting, get wisdom. God, I want a car, I want a house, I wanted this, I want a boat, I wanted that, I wanted this and none of that. But what about, the Bible says, with all you're getting, get wisdom. Okay, never mind. That's another scripture for another time. Okay, listen. Darkness can't hold you when Jesus is present. His face shined like the sun, and his clothes were white when he was transfigured. When he was transfigured on the Mount of Transfiguration, his face shone like the sun because he's the light of the world. He's the light. Everything in him is light. There's no darkness in him at all. And when I go to him in the name of Jesus, I say, Father, I've got to have you. I got to have you. I got to face this darkness in my life. Listen, when God shows up, he directs. When God shows up in your life, he'll direct your life. He gives you form. If you let God show up in your life, he'll give you form. If you let God show up in your life, he'll transform you. You let God show up in your life, and all of a sudden, things that didn't make any sense will start making sense again. If you let God move in your life, you let God begin to take control of your life, not just be your Sunday partner, not just be your pew buddy. There's so much a difference between a church person and a Christian.
Amen.
There's so much difference of being a pew buddy with Jesus, holding his hand on Sunday morning, and holding his hand on Monday afternoon. When you're tired and you're struggling at work. When your kids aren't listening to you and they're running in the parking lot and hitting their face on a car. When you're holding his hand on Thursday morning because you don't know if you can really do this today. There's a difference of holding Jesus' little pew buddy hand. Hey, I got Jesus. Jesus got me. Hallelujah. We're walking through. Okay, that's fantastic, and I'm glad. But what about when you're walking through life? See, so many people fail living for God because they think that God isn't working for me. No, that's not it. You're not walking with him. See, even in the hard times, you have to walk with him. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to be God's, I don't know, his little bless me buddy. As long as God's blessing me, I'm his favorite fan. Boy, I got you. I got the hat, t-shirt, jacket. Says God on it. Oh, you didn't do what I asked you right now? Take the hat off and throw it off. Then you take your jersey off. Then you take your jacket off. And you walk away because you're not going to bless you, buddy. What about when things aren't going right in your life? Can you still hang on? There's such a difference between just going to church and being a Christian. Because being a Christian isn't a cure-all for all your problems. You know what you still have to do when you are a Christian? Go to work. You know what you still have to do as a Christian? Pay bills. You still have to pay for your house. You still have to pay for your car. You still have to do those things. Listen, I'm going to go ahead and cuss in church right now. You got to work. Go work. It rained manna, but they had to go get it. I believe with all my heart God rains manna down on his people still. That's not physical manna, but you have to go get it. You have to go get it. You can't just say, well, maybe if it falls in the tent, I'll fix it for you. If it doesn't, no. I got to go get it. Nothing worth having didn't come from hard work, man, I'm telling you.
That's right.
You appreciate it a whole lot better when you worked for it. He makes us in his image. He changes my life into abundant life. That's John 10:10 if you read it. He changes my so-so life into abundant life. He takes my chaos and makes it his cause. My life, it changes my life and my form changes. I change from an image that there's not really anything going on. I don't know where I'm supposed to go, what I'm supposed to do. I don't really know about this God thing. This Christian stuff's kind of blowing my mind. Jeff said if I go to church, I'm just a church guy, but if I don't follow him, I don't really understand all that. Just hang around, you'll figure it out. But listen, understand this, that if you have chaos in your life, that chaos can be transformed into his cause. And from his cause, you'll find out that's where I'm supposed to be. And the image of God begins to transform your life. And you begin to have what he calls his image inside of you. And all of a sudden now, it makes sense. Oh, I'm supposed to go win the lost. I have a very simple message for you. You're not supposed to get saved so you can sit on a pew.
Amen.
You're not. Jesus didn't save you to warm a pew. Jesus saved you to go win somebody. Or maybe two. Right. So it has to be right? It has to make sense if it rhymes. Jesus didn't call us to sit here and go, man, that song really stunk. They play my song, I'll praise. If they don't, I ain't gonna praise nobody. First of all, you don't have a song because you didn't die for anybody. Second of all, what God has brought you from and brought you through and brought you to, I don't care if we sing Amazing Grace in the wrong key. I'm worshiping Him and I'm praising Him because I know where I was at and I know what He brought me to. I have not forgotten who Jeff Nance at 1302 North Highland was. I've not forgotten who Jeff Nance at 1314 North Highland was. I've not forgotten the Jeff Nance from North Highland. I know exactly where I came from. I know exactly what He brought me through. I know exactly where He's taking me to. And so listen, praising is easy for me.
Yes.
I don't have to work up to it. I don't have to drink 3 Red Bulls and have, something else so I can feel like I'm all fired up and ready. You just start having a prayer meeting. I'll be there. I mean, I'm gonna praise. I don't care because that's who He is. That's what He's done in my life. He occupies the void. The earth. Remember the earth now. When He spoke into the darkness, the earth was without form and it was void. He occupies the void. Where there was once nothing, now He dwells. Now I'm going to make a comparison here. In your life, when your life is empty, and you invite Him to come into your life where it was once empty, He now dwells. Now all of a sudden, now the Bible says in Genesis that the Spirit of the Lord hovered over the waters. The Spirit of the Lord hovered over the waters. What that means is this: His Spirit flows inside the void. And so whenever you say yes to Jesus and no to the devil, what happens is this, is that inside of that void of your life, the Holy Spirit begins to indwell and comes to dwell in that place and hover over that void that was once there. Where there was no life, all of a sudden life begins. When you didn't know what you were supposed to do, where you're supposed to do it, how you're supposed to do it, all of a sudden now new life begins to grow up inside of you. Is anybody understanding what I'm telling you today? So listen to me, understand this, that new life begins when Jesus enters into the room. New life begins when Jesus enters into your heart. When the void is captured and the void is dwelt in, when God dwells in the void, what happens is this, is all of a sudden, now, all these things that didn't make sense in your life. See, listen, you're looking at me like I'm crazy, but just hang with me for a couple of days. Listen, when Jesus begins to dwell in your life, life begins.
Amen.
We call it born. Wonder why they called it that. It's a snappy little quip. Hey, what can we call this? Oh, we'll call it born again. Okay, cool. When you're born, what's the first thing you do? You suck in air, and then you cry. And when you are born again, the first thing you do is life begins inside of you. Life begins to dwell inside the void. Okay. He dwells in the vacuum where there was nothing, and now all of a sudden, there's everything.
Yes.
Everything. He speaks into the darkness. Understand? Without shape and void. Number 3, it was dark. God separates the dark from the light, Genesis 1 and 3. He says, let there be light. And there was light. Let there be light, there was light. God saw the light was good. He named the two. He called it dark and light. Because when God steps into something, He changes it. When God steps into your life, He begins to change your life. And He'll separate the light from the dark. He'll separate those things in your life that all of a sudden now you really don't know if I want to give that to God or not. I don't know if I want to admit that that's in my life or not. I don't know if I want to deal with that right now, but God will separate the light from the darkness. He always has and always will. When God names it, He owns it. So God called it, when God called it the light in the dark, now all of a sudden He had to do something with the light in the dark. Because when He names it, He owns it. And when He names your name, come on, somebody help me just a minute. Oh, somebody help me just a minute. Come on, help me now. Listen, there was light. He named it when God names it. He makes a difference between them. The lesser light was at night and the greater light was in the day. Can I just parenthetically insert that some of you think you're walking in light, but it's just moonlight. Most of you have lived in Oklahoma a long time. And there are some full moon nights when you can see very well. And you don't need a flashlight to see outside. You can see everything. Some of you feel like that you're walking in the light because you haven't dealt with the darkness, that you're really just walking on a bright full moon night. And you don't even know there's a greater light that you could be walking in. Because you haven't dealt yet with the darkness. Come on, help me a minute. Listen. The lesser light was at night, the greater light was in the day. There were two lights. Even in your darkness, God sends you light. Amen. What do you mean, Brother Jeff? This is what I mean. I can tell you're really fired up about this today, but hear me. God cares about you so much. And God loves you so much that even in your darkness, in the darkest hours of your life, when there's nothing that seems like anything possible could be good coming through this, God sends you light. Even if the moon's not out, there's stars. Even if the moon is, maybe the moon is just a sliver, call it God's thumbnail. Maybe it's just that sliver. You can't really see anything without a flashlight, but you get out in the country and you can see billions of stars. Because even in the darkest of your life, God sends you light. No matter where you're going in your life right now, no matter what you're going through right now, you may be going through the worst hell of your life and you may think God doesn't care anything about you. I guarantee if you'll look up, there's light. You may not think God cares about you. Maybe you're thinking that my little video I made yesterday about God loves you more than anything. Maybe you think that doesn't apply to you. That's not true. When you fought against God, God fought for you. He loved you before you ever loved Him. He's going to love you no matter what. Well, why would a God like that send me to hell? First of all, God won't send anybody to hell. They choose to go. That's right. You choose. It's your choice. Heaven or hell. God won't make you go to heaven and He won't make you go to hell. And if you choose to refuse God, He'll protect your right to go to hell. What do you mean by that? He won't make you get saved. Now, He can make it rough on you. So where you say, okay, God, I'm done. I surrender all. He may make it hard on you and just remove His hand and let the devil buffet you a while, according to the New Testament. But I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know if you've ever been buffeted by the world, but the world doesn't play. You know, we play sometimes with the devil and we play sometimes with God. And we act like this is a little game. We don't act like that our soul is really on the line here. And in this church, in this building right now, we deal with eternal things. We're talking about your eternal soul. We're not talking about whether you come to church here or not. Maybe you don't like the nursery here. Okay. Maybe somebody has a better nursery somewhere, so you transplant your family, you take it. That's fine. But we're talking about your eternal soul. What about where God would have you be? The greater light. When you face your darkness, a greater light shows up. What do you mean? I promise you, and I don't know what you're going through, and I don't know why I'm preaching this message. This wasn't the way it was supposed to go, but this is what it is. I just feel like in my spirit that somebody is really, you really don't know that God cares a lot for you. You think that God has forsaken you. Can I tell you that's a lie? The devil is a lie. I know it seems like the truth because everything you lay your hand to do seems to blow up in your face. But can I tell you this, that if you'll take your problems to God and face your darkness, the light of God will show up. God speaks into your darkness. He's the only one that can. If you could do it yourself, you would have already done it. If you could say, I'm going to be free today, you'd already be free. If you could say, I'm going to deal with this today, I'm not going to have to deal with this tomorrow, if you could do it, you would have already done it. But you can't do it by yourself. God speaks into your darkness. He divides you from your darkness. He divides you because if you are saved today, the light of the world is inside of you. Jesus Christ, the light of the world. And He divides you from the darkness, and He separates you from the darkness, and He stands between you and the darkness. Oh, come on, somebody help me. Amen. He shines His light through you. Matthew 5 and 14. And that's the last scripture I'm going to read, so I'm going to get you out of here on time. Matthew 5 and 14. You're the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hid. I know He's talking to a group of people. I get it. But He's also talking to you individually. Amen. You're the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hid. Face your darkness. Face the darkness and have God speak into it. Because had God not spoken into the darkness of this world, there would not be an earth here. It would still be without form and void and darkness full of it on this planet. But God spoke into it. And when God spoke into it, it transformed it from what it used to be to what it is today. So can I share with you one more thing and I'll leave you alone, I promise. Promise. Let God speak into your life. How does God speak into my life? I'm so glad you asked. This is how. He's speaking into your life right now. Number 2, He gave you a Bible. The Bible has never been so readily available as it is today. My goodness. You can get the Bible on anything. You can get the Bible. I have a Bible app on my phone. And when I was a teenager, it's been a while. It's been a while. But when I was a teenager, it's easier than being a teenager now. I believe that. I believe that just impure things are just flooding into our kids. I believe that impurity is just flooding them. The same device they can read their Bible on, they can access porn on. The same device they can access their Bible on, they can play a game where they're blowing people's heads off. It's tough, man. My kids grew up in a violent society that I didn't grow up in, And you guys have all heard the thing, We used to have gun racks in our backs of our pickup trucks and nobody was saying. That's true. We also had pocket knives, nobody stabbed anybody. That's true. We never thought, but we've desensitized ourselves to the violence. There's darkness. There's darkness that we have to deal with. Don't fear your darkness. Because if you fear your darkness, what you'll do is you'll back away from it. If you have, listen, can I have 2 minutes?
Amen.
Of your attention? If you back away from your darkness, you'll never deal with it. When I grew up in school and I was in 6th grade, Mr. Davis told us. That's what Mr. Davis told us. And he's dead now, so I can tell us all now. Okay? There was a guy, he's kind of a bully. He was a bully, okay? And he was just messing with us. And there's like 4 of us. And Mr. Davis walks up to us and tells us, if you guys don't go take care of him, y'all are the biggest cowards I've ever seen in my life. On the playground. At school. Now he'd got arrested now, I've been in jail.
Right.
Okay? But things happen. Okay? And so I'm just letting you know. Stuff happened. I'm not going to tell you what happened, but stuff happened. But had we backed up from that bully, we never would have faced that bully.
That's right. Amen.
I have a hard time. And I know that, listen, don't slide me no ugly letter under my door and say how awful I am. Listen, a punch to the nose stops the bully a lot faster. Never mind. Okay, never mind. And you might get beat up too, but at least you stood up for yourself. Anyway, listen, I know that's not politically correct, but neither am I. But don't slide some note under my door, tell me how awful I am. I know, I've got to face my darkness. Hear me. If you fear your darkness, you'll always back away from it. Your darkness is nothing. It's something you can't see clearly. Something you know how to deal with because it's dark and you don't know where you're going with it. But when you bring it into the light of God, God will deal with it. God's always displaced the dark, and He always will. I heard this, and I don't know if it's true. I didn't look it up to make sure it was true, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. I heard that light's still expanding. From the time God said, let there be light, He never said, let there stop being light, so it's still expanding at this great rate out into the universe. So God has never said, let there not be light, so it just keeps going. So in our lives, when God speaks to your life and He speaks to that darkness in your life, and God begins to pour light into something, what happens is this. That light continues to grow. It continues to go forward and go forward and go forward. Here's the trick. If you'll ever take that first thing to God, you'll figure out, wow, God didn't really take care of that. The next thing will be easier to take to God, I promise you. Cool?
Yeah.
Stand your feet.